Today is August 29th, 2015. Joining us on the porch is Donnie Alecci from Ashley Lynn Winery.
The best place for family. What are you waiting for? Where friendships run deeper. Come join us on the porch. So glad you're on the
porch. Once again, you've made it to On the Porch Radio Hour. I was not sure I was going to make it to On the Porch Radio Hour because today is my birthday extravaganza bash on the Porch Radio Hour. We have an incredible guest. I'm super excited, and I'm going to talk about him in a minute because how we met to have him on the show is one of the reasons that I wasn't almost here today. But anyway, I'm getting ready for the birthday bash, and I'm hanging out down in the garage, which is next to the road, which, side note, is where we're going to have the stage for the festival next weekend, Labor Day weekend, so you're going to have to come check that out. So I'm standing out down in front of the garage getting some equipment to bring up to the barn, and the front of the garage is only like maybe 6 feet from the road, so you have to be really careful. So I step out of the garage, and there's this car cruising down the road, and I saw it, and I was fine. But on the radio comes this advertisement for what I was pretty sure they said was a monkey clown circus that was coming to Syracuse, and I became instantly I was enthralled. I wasn't sure that I heard that right, and I froze. And I'm standing in front of the garage, and I'm trying to listen to this advertisement when I look up and I realize that I have just kind of drifted subconsciously into the road. And this car is going, it's fast because it's in the country, and he's going the speed limit, but it's faster than I want to be standing in front of a car. And so this car is coming down the road, and I look and I make eye contact with the driver. And he's making this face like, it made me think of Mr. Bill, which I think was on Saturday Night Live, right? He used to, oh no, and they'd put him in the oven, and they would like run over him with the car and stuff. And so there I see the wide eyes and the open mouth, and I think, oh no, Mr. Bill. And then I start laughing because I really loved those segments, and again, totally forget that I'm standing in the road. And the car does what it's supposed to, and the driver, drives and, turns way off and misses me, but then stops the car, and he's like, what is wrong with you? What is going on? And I said, are you listening to the radio? Because I'm pretty sure I just heard this advertisement. And then I try to explain it, and the guy says, have you been drinking? And I said, no, I haven't been drinking. I just get really caught up in those things. And then I started thinking about Mr. Bill, and I'm trying to explain the whole process. So you probably know where I'm going. Donnie Alecci is the one that's driving the car. He's the guest on today's show. And so he says, have you been drinking? No, I haven't been drinking. I've just been hanging out in the radio show. I was thinking about the radio show, and then this advertisement came on. And he's like, well, if you have a radio show and you haven't been drinking, maybe you should try. And then he explained who he was, and he's works for Ashley Lynn Winery. And he does tastings, and he was getting ready to go to the state fair, and he was driving to the state fair, and I stood out in front of him, and now I'm stopping him. So we needed a guest, and he agreed to leave the state fair to come be on the Porch Radio Hour on my birthday. This is a pretty big deal. So I'm really glad that Donnie's here, and I'm really glad that I'm here, and that we're going to be able to hang out and hear more from him later. And I'm really glad that you are here and that you're listening, because this is a very special day for me, because I get to celebrate another year of my life, and I'm really glad that the people that are here to celebrate this with me too. And I'm going to talk about myself most of the day because it's my birthday. So sit back and relax. But until we get to Donnie and hearing more about me, Gina Holsopple, you're on the porch.
Everybody wants something to believe. Everybody wants someone who needs them. Everybody needs a little rest, a little piece of what they think is best. And everybody wants something to do. Everybody wants something to be true. Everybody wants someone to love. Everybody wants something to dream of. Everybody needs a little time. Everyone just needs somewhere to shine. Everybody wants a chance to share, to show somebody that they care. And everybody needs a little space. Everyone's just trying to find their way. Everybody wants to have their dance. Everyone just needs to take that chance. So take the time to be a friend and make the space to finally mend. Give someone something to believe. Let someone know how much you need them. 'Cause everybody wants something. 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 Everybody wants. Everybody wants something. Everybody wants something. Everybody wants something.
And now, a word from our sponsor. I never believed that anything good could ever come from wearing a dunce cap. Dunce caps were always given to people that had done something wrong and they needed to sit in the corner and be mocked and made fun of, and they were given this giant pointy hat. But tonight's sponsor came from the dunce cap, and it is wonderful. I could only be talking about one thing here, ladies and gentlemen: party hats. Party hats originated from the dunce cap. You see, the dunce cap was given to those that needed to be mocked and made fun of so that they wouldn't do the things that they had been doing. But on one day, when you were celebrating yourself and everybody was celebrating with you, they would give you a dunce cap, which meant you were allowed to do all of the things you're not supposed to. And so they did this flip. And eventually it became a celebrated thing. And if you got the party hat, then you knew that people were really celebrating you and they were okay with you being an idiot. And so they would give you this big pointy conical hat with flowers and prints and little tassels, and sometimes they'd give you a horn, and you would blow a horn and you would run around and do stupid things. And everybody would know where you were, kind of like the flag on the antenna of your car if you go to a ball game or something and you're way out in the stadium, the stadium parking lot. Then you can find your car because it has the big flag on it. Well, this was the same thing. When idiots run around on their special day, you need to be able to find them so they don't get lost. And so the big tall party hat was what came of this. And it wasn't until Madonna donned a pair of party hats that folks realized so many good things could come from the pointed party hats. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, not only are we celebrating the host of On the Porch Radio Hour today, but we're celebrating history. We're celebrating life. We are celebrating the cornerstone of celebration. Forget about piñatas and cake and whistles and presents even. Party hats is where it's at. Ladies and gentlemen, party hats is where it's at. Party hats. And now, the first of two moments that I've been waiting for. I would like to welcome our guest. Usually, I would say something like our guest of honor, our most celebrated guest, but since today's my birthday, then Donnie Alecci can be our second most celebrated guest today. So Donnie Alecci from Ashley Lynn Winery, welcome to On the Porch.
Thank you, Matthew, and happy birthday from all of the boys in the barn.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate that. So now you haven't been around since the beginning of Ashley Lynn Winery because it started in 1929, is that
Correct. The Hurlbut family had an apple orchard in Mexico, New York, right along the corridor of Route 104 and Route 3. And they've been growing apples ever since. And the farm went into disarray. And in the mid-1960s, Leroy Hurlbut, who founded Ashley Lynn Winery, returned from the Vietnam War. And he needed something to do. So his father said, why don't you go out to that back 40 and get those apples going again? And that's exactly what he did. And he spent his quiet time developing the apples, getting the trees back in order, cultivating the crop, and starting to sell apples again. And they did that for about 20 years. And about 17 years ago, they started an apple winery called Ashley Lynn.
What significance is the name Ashley Lynn? Is that a family member? Or?
Yes, it's one of the granddaughters. It was the first granddaughter that was born. Leon, who is Leroy's son, his first child was named Ashley Lynn, and they decided when the father and son coupled together to form the winery that they would name it after her.
Oh, that's great. Good for her. How old is she now?
She's just turning 20.
Awesome.
She's a junior at Delhi University, where she's studying to be a vet tech.
Oh,
so maybe
excellent.
she can come on the porch and help you with your animals.
Yeah, that would be really cool. And if you're listening at home or on Concert Window, pay attention because we have some goats in the stall. They were just making some noise a few minutes ago. I don't know if the mics will pick it up, but I just want to make sure everybody has that barn feel, you know?
I have the feel.
Thanks. Thanks, Donnie. So Leroy and Leon have been doing wine at Ashley Lynn for the last 17 years.
Correct.
How long have you been with them then?
I joined them about 18 months ago. I met them when I was a food and beverage director at a local festival, and I was purchasing their wines and wine slushies for our food concessions. And I left that position, and then in the middle of last winter, the owner, Leroy, called me up and he said, you know, I watched you work. I think you have a good work ethic. You're a good, hardworking fella, and I think you're honest, and I'm not a very trustworthy person. So I'd like you to come on board with us because I feel that without additional help, we can't grow.
Sure.
So I was happy to come and work for them.
From what I understand, they're experiencing growth.
We've had a good time together. We opened up a third location at Destiny Mall in Syracuse, which was a unique thing for a winery to do. But because we were a farm winery, we got permission from the Alcohol Commission to open up and do tastings there.
Man, that's fantastic. Where are the other two locations then?
We have our original winery in Mexico, New York, where up until 2 years ago, they were able to produce roughly 10,000 gallons a year. Wow. And now we're in Waterloo on Route 318,
okay,
just east of the Waterloo Outlet Center.
Mm-hmm.
And there we're up to 80,000 gallons now.
Holy cow.
So we've really grown a lot in just 2 years. And when I came on board, they had only sold their wines at the tractor show, the farm show, places like that, the county fair,
right,
and of course the state fair. But by going into Destiny Mall, I was able to quadruple their sales in less than a year.
Man, good for you, and good for Ashley Lynn too. So they've been specializing in apple wines mainly for the last 17 years. And
correct.
Okay.
And then 2 years ago, they made their first red wine, which was Jed's Red.
Okay.
And that was 100% Concord wine that they processed with champagne yeast. So it gave it a lighter feel. And then since then, we've came up with we're up to 24 wines. So 12 more grape wines.
How much of the process do you get to see or be part of from the beginning to, because you're part of the sales and promotion and being part of that process? Do you?
Well, for me, I'm director of sales and fun for Ashley Lynn because Ashley Lynn is known as the fun wine.
Right.
But I get to go to Waterloo when they're bottling, and I get to help bottle. And since they are a farm winery, we do 6 bottles at a time by hand. So someone fills the 6, they hand it to the next person, they put in the cork, then the daughter-in-law puts on the foil, puts it in a hair dryer, gives it a twist. Then they roll on the label. They hand it to me. I put it in the box, and then the big, strong Leon puts it on a pallet and moves it away.
Holy cow. Doing it the hard way.
You're not kidding.
I think that's what makes it so good, though.
Oh, yeah.
You
No
know?
doubt about it. No
Like,
doubt about it.
I think you can taste the hard work.
I love my job. I mean, to work side by side with hard-working, honest folks is a pleasure.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
a rarity these days.
It is. It is. And, you know, we were doing an episode of On the Porch. We were recording at the Oswego County Fair. And we were walking around before the show, just kind of checking the place out. And we walked by their booth, walked by Ashley Lynn's booth. And I said, you know, Gina, we like their wine. You know, we've always enjoyed the wine, and we've always enjoyed supporting people local. So that's a really added bonus to using their product. But we walked by the booth, and I said, you know, on a whim, I think we should just stop and chat with them because they're local and we support local folks on the show, and just see if they'd be interested in being promoted on the show. So I stopped, and I think it was Leon that was working the booth, and he said, absolutely, here's the person you want to get a hold of, and he gave me your contact information. But for we probably stood there for 10 or 15 minutes, and the conversation that we had was just so fantastic. I'd never met the guy before, and he's just really genuine and just a really great time, you know, and there was people standing behind us waiting to buy their stuff, and I didn't want to, you know, hold him up, but he was more than willing to chat, and I think that, you know, from what I've seen and from what I've, you know, from the interaction I've had with you so far, you're carrying that on. You're being a part of that, and the whole feel of everything that Ashley Lynn and you are doing is
Well, their
such
positive attitude is contagious.
Yeah.
You know, when you go to New Haven and you visit there, it's not a traditional winery because they still do farm things there.
Right.
They have 3 greenhouses with plants, and they do a tremendous job with selling plants and mulch and that sort of thing also. Man,
yeah, it's such a neat. I don't know. I think it's just a fantastic production and system that's going on there, and the positivity really is fantastic. And
it's excellent.
Yeah.
And since it's your birthday, later on in our show, I brought some wines that we can taste with your audience and with yourself, and we'll have a little party for you.
Excellent. So what we're going to do is when you come back in the second half and we're doing our wine tasting, if you don't mind just taking a couple of minutes and taking us through the process of what we're looking for and how we're tasting wine and those kinds of things, because I know what I taste when I drink wine, but you know, if somebody said, tell me about it, I'd say it's good.
We could do that.
That would be neat, and kind of give us a little bit of insight. So we'll do that later. But for now, I want to hear a little bit about what you're doing at the State Fair for the next, 10 days, I guess, or so,
Yeah,
right?
12 days. We just opened today at the New York State Fair. Matter of fact, I was on my way there when I landed up here.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a nice sidebar to come here. We have 5 slushy booths. So basically, you can walk around the New York State Fair and have a wine slushy from Ashley Lynn almost every 5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So it's a great thing. We're the only wine slushy in the Midway. We teamed up with the people at Mercer's Ice Cream to make slushy floats with wine ice cream. We're by the Cow Barn. We have 2 booths up in the Coliseum area, and we're out by the grandstands.
Okay.
So most of the other wineries only have 1.
You're right. Right.
So we're happy. So my job is to sell wine and our new wine slushy pouch. So now you can bring wine slushies home and enjoy them for breakfast like I do on a daily basis.
Yes, sir. Okay, so describe this then. Describe wine slushy in a pouch. How does that work?
Wine slushy in a pouch is equivalent to 2 bottles of wine. Right now we have 4 flavors: raspberry, strawberry, peach, and our Jed's Red Concord grape, mixed with Niagara grapes. And then the Niagara grape allows the wine to freeze. So 3 or 4 hours in the freezer. It's basically an adult Capri Sun. So
Donnie, I'm gonna bring you back up. But I real quick, I need you to tell everybody how they can access Ashley Lynn Winery. If you have a website, break it down for us. We need it.
Okay, you can find Ashley Lynn Winery by hunting me down at Destiny Mall on the first floor right next to the Disney store. Or you can go to our 2 locations. One on Route 104 in Mexico, New York, or on Route 318 in Waterloo. Our website is www.ashleylynwinery.com.
Thank you so much. And I have to tell everybody that, because this is Radioland, you weren't able to see what happened when he said we have slushy pouches that are equivalent to 2 bottles of wine. Once again, it was me that was making the Mr. Bill face. I almost swallowed my microphone. I thought, I need to go hang out with Donnie for breakfast. That's what happened. I'm so sad I didn't know this.
Anytime, Matthew, anytime.
Yeah, so I'm coming to the State Fair on the 3rd. So I'm coming early.
I'll be there early.
All right. Thank you, Donnie Alecci, so much. Their motto at Ashley Lynn is doing it the hard way since 1929. I don't think Donnie's doing it the hard way. I think he's doing it the right way. You're listening to On the Porch Radio Hour. We'll be back in a minute.
What's happening in Central New York is brought to us by iHeart Oswego. The Oswego Players production of The Last 5 Years closes this weekend with shows tonight at 8 p.m. and tomorrow at 2 p.m. Visit oswegoplayers.org for more information. The End of the Embargo is the latest exhibition at the Art Association of Oswego. From now until Sunday, September 20th, Cuban paintings from the collection of Eugenio Basualdo will be on display. This group of paintings is diverse in subject and style, including naturalism, surrealism, cubism, and abstract expressionism. The gallery is open Saturdays from 10 to 1 and Sundays from 1 to 4, or by appointment. For more information, call 315-216-6782. Oswego State Downtown hosts People, Places, and Things, featuring the photos of Leah Cooperman, a National and Regional Scholastic Art Awards honoree. The exhibition is open noon to 5 p.m., Wednesdays to Saturdays. Call 315-216-4985 for more information. The Port City Co-op hosts an outdoor flea market at West Bridge and 2nd Streets in Oswego on the 1st and 3rd Sundays of each month from 12 to 5 p.m. For more information, contact the Port City Co-op at 315-529-5177. The CNY Arts Center hosts a Writers Cafe the last Sunday of the month, with the next session tomorrow at 6 p.m. The Arts Center also hosts an artist meetup on September 9th at 6 p.m. for visual artists working in 2D or 3D media. Visit cnyartscenter.com for more information. Oswego County Farmers Markets happen just about every day of the week. In Central Square, visit Crossroads Park, Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. until dark. New Haven's Farmers Market is held at the Town Hall on Mondays from 4 until 7. Lacona's Farmers Market is at the corner of Maple Avenue and Harwood Drive on Thursdays from 4 until 7. Oswego Farmers Market is also on Thursdays from 4:30 until 8:30 and is held on the West 1st Street between Bridge and Oneida Streets. Pulaski hosts a market in South Park on Fridays from 4 until 8. The Canal View parking lot in Fulton is the home of the Fulton Farmers Market on Saturdays from 8 a.m. until 1 p.m. And Parrish also hosts a market on Saturdays from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. at the corner of Route 69 and Route 69A. The Red Room Sessions at Wooden Apple Farmstead are a time for songwriters, musicians, and anyone else who wants to build their musical skill and knowledge to get together. We share songs we are working on, bounce musical ideas off each other, and we usually have time to just play a little music. This is a supportive environment where all levels of songwriting and musical experience are welcome. The next session is tomorrow at 6 p.m. The Wooden Apple Farmstead, in conjunction with the CNY Arts Center, also hosts the 3rd Annual Music and Art Festival on September 5th and 6th. The festival will include a Frisbee golf tournament on Saturday, a songwriters contest on Saturday evening, and a full day of live music on Sunday. Art will be for sale throughout the weekend. For more information about the event or to find out how to become a sponsor, contestant, or vendor, visit Wooden Apple Farmstead on Facebook or call 315-591-0711.
Welcome back to On the Porch Radio Hour. Now, I'd like to bring Donnie Alecci back up to the stage, because it just so happens that as he was driving by the farm, he had a cooler in the back of his car with ice. And that cooler with ice fit 7 Ashley Lynn bottles of wine. 7 different bottles of Ashley Lynn wine. So, Donnie, you have 7 apple-based wines?
Yes, I brought 7 of our better apple wines, and they happen to be uncorked.
Come on.
In the cooler, uncorked. That's what happens with my part-time job as the chauffeur for the monkey circus.
Wow. Wow. I've got to learn more about this. I was stunned. I didn't know they were talking about you.
The monkeys are still in the back seat of my car.
I believe it.
I might have to borrow your shovel.
You bet. We've got all the material you need to take care of the material you have. And this is a really nice monkey-free, monkey-safe cooler that you have here because those bottles of wine are uncorked and untouched.
That is correct, but we're going to uncork them now and let your guests sample some of our lovely apple wines.
Attaboy. All right, so tell us a little bit about what we're looking for because you're going to take us through the process of describing the wines and what's in them, and each one of them is going to bring out their own.
Each one has a slightly different flair, but they all start out the same. The base of 6 blended apples that grow in the orchards along Route 3. That's the Hurlbut Farms, the Bailings Farms, and the Simpler Farms. We buy apples from our relatives and ourselves, and we make a blended apple mix that is the base of everything we do. Then we add natural fruit flavor. So by not being able to see them from behind, I'm going to say we have blackberry, cherry, raspberry, grape, strawberry, and peach, and apple white grape, which is 100% Niagara.
I've got to go back to the monkey thing for a second before you tell me about what I'm looking for when I'm tasting wine. If you're training monkeys to ride dogs and lasso sheep, are you showing them by example?
Oh no, I'm just their bodyguard and chauffeur.
Oh, attaboy.
I'm not the trainer.
Good move.
The trainer lives in Lithuania.
Oh, of course.
Where Ashley Lynn tends to go to buy cheese.
Oh, man. And I bet Lithuanian cheese goes really good with apple wine.
It does, especially the blackberry.
I'll tell you right now, before I even taste the wine, I'm going to tell you that Donnie is coming back to the show. I'm committing to that right now. I don't care what contract we have to sign. Monkeys or no monkeys. I don't care if we have to follow him to Lithuania. We're doing it. All right. So what are we looking for? We're tasting the wine. And
so what you're gonna do is you're gonna taste the apple, but then the fruit will definitely come through.
Okay.
Some at different degrees. The most unusual and unique of all the 7 wines I brought is the cherry, because that's referred to as a complex wine. What will happen when you sample the cherry, and we're going to do that last, is that you'll taste apples on the tip of your tongue, a hint of cherry on your tongue, but then when you go to swallow, the flavor will blossom from the back of your mouth. So it'll be in reverse.
That is complex.
That's just like a monkey riding a unicycle.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, same
exactly
thing.
The same thing.
I see
Only an apple.
Only
an apple.
Right.
Same thing.
Man. I'm going to just hand over the microphone. All right. So I was originally thinking that it'd be really fun if you just let me taste the wine and then I tried to guess what kind of wine it is, but let's just what are we starting with?
We could try the blackberry first.
Blackberry first. All right. Now, before you started working with Ashley Lynn, were you doing wine tastings and stuff with your...
No, I knew nothing about wine whatsoever. I had worked in the food industry. I'm a trained chef. Mm-hmm. I own a catering business. I do barbecue now, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays at Ontario Orchards on Route 104, where I also sell Ashley Lynn wine and wine slushies.
All right.
Right in the parking lot under a 10-by-20 tent.
Yeah, doesn't get any better than that.
And prior to that, I lived downstate, where I was a caterer and a house painter. And moved up here 4 years ago.
Wow. What a neat life.
And I'm a graduate of Oswego State. I survived the 70s in
No
Oswego
kidding.
State. Yeah, I did.
Boy. Wow.
I did.
And Oswego State survived the 70s with you. I think that's pretty awesome.
I mean, 3 trips to Betty Ford, but that's for another time. And I'm selling wine.
And you're selling wine. I love it. All right, so this is blackberry, and I want the listeners to enjoy this as much as I am. I haven't even tasted it
For
yet.
dry drinkers, this will be inherently a little sweeter.
Oh, okay.
But I believe there's elderberry in the mix, and that's the driest.
Hey, so is there anything to smelling the cork when you take a...
Not really in apple wines. I mean, in our grape wines, I would say yes, but I don't know the theory behind that, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, I've always wondered that, because I typically smell wine on cork, and I don't know why I'm supposed to do that. I do it because I'm drinking wine.
I mean, in red wines, I'm finding the more I learn about it is, you learn different things about them. They'll be oaky or smoky or have, high tannins or high sulfites and that kind of stuff. And it definitely changes the flavor. The beauty of the apple wines is that the sulfites are on the lower side.
Yep.
So you don't get that headache that you can get from some red wines.
Yeah.
And right now we did introduce 3 new red wines, but because we do not grow grapes, we purchased those grapes in Long Island, mainly because they have a longer growing season than they do in the Finger Lakes. Because the hardest thing in the Finger Lakes in the state of New York is to grow red grapes.
Right.
So that's where the best red wine and or juice comes from, the Long Island regions.
Let's move on to the next one. We're going to move on from blackberry to...
Oh, apple grape. So that would be apple with Concord grape.
Okay. And these grapes are grown in Long Island.
No, these grapes are grown in the Finger Lakes.
Holy mackerel. I'm all over the place. I didn't think I'd drink my 2 ounces of blackberry wine.
So because it's Concord grape, I always say that this is a perfect breakfast wine. This goes very nicely with Rice Krispies.
It sure does. Directly on them, too.
No. You drink the wine first, then you eat the Rice Krispies dry to absorb the alcohol.
Oh, all right.
Yeah,
all
that's
right.
how I do it.
I thought maybe the pop was the sound of the cork coming out of the bottle. So the snap and crackle happened in the cereal.
That's if you don't want to let anybody know you're drinking at breakfast.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I like it. So Concord grapes. They're big. Yes?
Yes.
And
Yes.
Okay. So why would you use a Concord grape versus I don't know what other kind of grapes there are.
Well, we
Are
do
there
both.
grapes you
We do
don't?
Concord grape and we do Niagara. Niagara's white.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very sweet.
She knows. They're very sweet
Yes.
grapes.
I'm glad we have such an. We
You
are
have
so.
such an educated audience.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're so ready for NPR. We have the most educated listeners.
I have to be honest. I have a hard time here living in upstate New York because I grew up, born in Brooklyn, raised in New Jersey. Now living here in upstate New York. So I went to an elementary school, not elementary, and I get yelled at all the time. I borrow complimentary cars, not complimentary cars. And if the truth be known, I'm in the witness protection program.
Ah,
But that's for another day, too.
yeah, boy. I'm taking notes. Yeah. You used to hang out with Betty Ford, and now you're protected. I get it.
Well,
okay.
Uncle Louis is dead, so I could talk about it now.
Yeah, that's right. So now white grapes.
Our next flavor is apple white grape, which is our most popular apple wine.
I'll be the judge of that.
So this is a blend of 6 apples with Niagara grape juice.
Okay, so explain the 6 apples. What kind of apples are they?
I knew you were going to ask that question. I don't have the foggiest idea.
Oh, okay. I just because when you first said it, my vision was that
Well, I know Granny Smith's one of them, and Honeycrisp is one, and I know they use Cortland. So
Okay.
I'm three. I got 50-50 shot at the other ones.
Yeah.
Macintosh, yes, I'll say yes.
Uh-huh.
It's whatever they grow on Route 3. That's the best I could do.
Right.
It changes from time to time.
Sure.
It does.
Oh, thank you. When you first explained that it was 6 blended apples, I had a vision of Leon picking apples and then standing in front of a blender and dropping 6 apples in
No.
and whirling it around and then making wine. But it's 6 different types of apples.
6 different kinds.
That's good.
There are other apple wineries in the state of New York, but they tend to make a specific apple wine. Like they'll make a Cortland apple wine. They'll make a
Okay.
delicious apple wine.
Mm-hmm.
We found by blending the different juices, you get a nicer flavor, a more balanced flavor, and it also is more receptive to the natural fruit juices that you add to it.
Yeah.
so it makes a nice, even, balanced flavor.
So you get different levels of sugars in different apples,
Correct.
right? So you would, if you made strictly a Cortland wine, you would get a certain level of sugar, which would affect the fermentation. And
In our apple wines, the sugar would be like between 2.5 and 4,
okay,
with strawberry being a 4,
okay,
because that's the sweetest. I call that diabetes in a bottle.
yes, yeah, I bet.
Oh, next is Peachy Keen. At the New York State Fair, we're selling peach wine slushies, but we kicked it up a notch by adding mango juice to them.
Come on.
So it's a peach mango wine slushie. And did I mention we have 5 booths at the State Fair?
You might have.
Ah, well, we do. So since it's your birthday, you should stop by all 5 of the booths.
I will.
We'll give you a special dispensation.
All right. I'll carry
There'll be
my
birthday. Yeah, you can carry that around.
I'll carry my slushy mug with
That
me.
way they know.
Yeah. And I'll wear a name tag and a party hat.
Perfect.
I'll wear our sponsor on my head.
I would.
Yeah, totally.
So when you taste Peachy Keen, it's always nice to smell it first because it's aromatic.
Ooh, it is. That's nice.
It smells like fresh peaches.
It sure does. So I was having a conversation with Donnie before the show, and we were talking about the Jed's Red and it's Jed's White. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then you talked about mixing those wines.
We're in the process of coming up with a formula to mix 100% Concord with 100% Niagara. And because we do a play on words for Jed Clampett, the new wine will be called Make Granny Blush.
I like it. So that's a mix. Is that 50-50?
No, I think it's a little higher on the white side.
Okay. Nice.
Because the Concord is so strong.
Sure. Has Ashley Lynn ever played around with mixing any of their apple wines?
By mistake once, yep.
Oh, neat.
They mixed the blueberry with the blackberry, and they should bring that back because it was actually very good.
I bet.
It was actually very good.
I'm drinking this peach wine, and I'm thinking, man, that would go really good with the blackberry. I'm really partial to the blackberry. Elderberry used to be my favorite, but this blackberry might, and this peach.
And I didn't bring it with me, but we now make Applejack, which is kind of our version of apple moonshine.
Right.
But we are making that as a wine slushie at the New York State Fair, where we have 5 booths.
Get out of my town. Man.
We have 5 booths at the New York State Fair.
2 of them are at the Coliseum.
And I'm in one of them. But
It's-
you're going to have to figure out which one it
I was
is.
going to say, it's like Finding Waldo, but...
Our next flavor is Raspberry Rush. So it's 6 apples with raspberry juice, and that for the past 7 years has been the #1 wine slushie at the New York State Fair, where we have 5 booths.
Really?
Yes.
Now, is this based on just one of the booths, or did you combine the statistics from all 5?
No, they have like a contest, and then at the end of the fair, after the 12 days, they vote on the best food, the best beverage,
Okay.
the best ride, the best attraction. And we keep drawing #1.
That is good work. I think what I'm going to do, when I go to the state fair, I'm going to look up last year's list, and I'm going to do all the top #1s all at the same time.
Well, they have this new thing you might want to try. It's like a half-pound burger between 2 grilled cheese sandwiches with like 35 strips of bacon.
With my
And then 20. Yeah, it's called a defibrillator, and it's $10. And then they take a $25 deposit for the defibrillator they're going to use on you after you eat it. No doubt about it.
That is awesome. You had me at 2 toasted cheese sandwiches.
Oh, yeah.
You've got me at this wine too. Tell me a little bit more about what I'm drinking right now.
Well, that's the Raspberry Rush.
Raspberry
I mean,
Rush,
that's it's just so much. It's such a balanced flavor.
It is.
You know, again, I apologize to the dry drinkers in the crowd. These tend to be a little sweeter.
They do.
But I figured since I was at a farm with the name Apple, we should do apple wines.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, speaking of the Wooden Apple Farm, you were talking earlier about different containers that wines are aged in. Does Ashley Lynn have a specific? Well, maybe that's their secret. I don't know. But if you're able to divulge information, how do they store? What do they do?
We do it in tanks.
Okay.
Which is very popular now. We do steel tanks and plastic tanks.
Mm-hmm.
And with the grape wines, there's techniques for oaking and changing the flavors. And it's now done actually with sticks. with
Okay.
flavored sticks that you actually put into the wine, and that's how you get flavors.
Nice.
It's a very popular way of doing it.
I like that. I was going to say that last bottle, or that Raspberry Rush had a little bit of a steel finish to it. That was good.
Our next flavor is strawberry.
Ah,
If you have diabetes, do not drink strawberry.
the sweetest of
It's
them
the
all.
sweetest of them all.
Tell us, okay, so I'm getting maybe a little off here, but okay, so Hurlbuts have apples,
Yes.
and they have wine, obviously.
Yes.
What other, and I know they have greenhouses, do they have other trees? What other kinds of things are they selling at the
Oh,
farm?
in Mexico, it's plants and mulch,
Okay.
and a lot of they do a lot of dealings with the Amish,
Sure.
so they get a lot of Amish products, jams, jellies, pickled items, that kind of stuff.
Nice.
And Waterloo, they have a beautiful gift shop
Hmm.
where they have all kind of wine paraphernalia, and then they do all the fruits, vegetables, all that kind of stuff, jarred, canned, and everything like
Okay.
that.
Nice. We end up going out through Waterloo every once in a while on our way out into Canandaigua and into the Finger Lakes and stuff with the camp that we're working with, and there's an Amish shop out there that we stop at, Souders, which is really cool. But we'll have to look for
Yeah,
look
they're
for
excellent.
Ashley Lynn's shop. What are the hours of the Ashley Lynn shop here in Mexico?
8 to 6, 8 to 7, depending on the day.
Okay,
If it gets quiet in the afternoon, they might close early.
sure.
But 8 to 6.
Nice.
And at Destiny Mall, we're like 11:30, 12 o'clock to 9:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at the mall, it'll be open year round.
Correct.
And the one in Mexico is probably seasonal?
Yeah, Mexico will close right after Thanksgiving,
Okay.
and then Waterloo stays open 12 months out of the year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, remind me, what is it that I'm
Okay, this
tasting?
is strawberry, so this
Strawberry,
is the
thank
sweetest.
you.
And
It
the
sure
last
is.
one is apple cherry, and that's what they refer to as a complex wine. This is the one that will tease your taste buds. So you're going to taste apples on the tip of your tongue, a hint of cherry on your tongue, but when you go to swallow, the flavor will blossom and come forward. So it's like almost like the flavor's in reverse.
Just another day at
I
the
mean,
Wooden Apple
at
Farmstead.
Ashley Lynn, we always look at it this way. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. But I was talking to Matt about this earlier. If you are drinking one of our bottles on a daily basis, the full bottle, you probably should go to the Baptist Church on Thursdays at 3:30. They have a meeting,
Yeah.
and they'll talk to you about that problem.
Yeah. Yeah. What are your thoughts on a glass of, they say red wine a day. What are your thoughts on
Actually, apple wine's better for you.
that? I would
It
believe
is.
that.
It's a lot lighter.
Oh, man. It happened. It's like magic. I was doubting you. No, I wasn't doubting you. I was doubting that I would experience that, but it happened. That was neat. Apple on the tip, cherry,
The flavor
blossom
comes
from the back of the throat. Yeah. That was good. Man.
And since you've been such a gracious host, we're going to leave all these bottles behind for your audience to enjoy
All right.
when they celebrate your birthday.
Yeah, man. Yes, sir. Ashley Lynn has officially, not because they're leaving all 7 bottles here, but they're officially the wine of the Wooden Apple Farmstead. I think that needs to happen. I mean, we've enjoyed Ashley Lynn wine here anyway, but now that you're on the show, and I have to admit, I enjoy the wine, but you find the ones that are your favorites, and then I don't explore farther than that sometimes. So I'm glad I got to do this because I'll be keeping in touch with Ashley Lynn, I think.
And I hope everyone enjoyed them.
Not only did I enjoy the wine, though, yeah, but I've really enjoyed having Donnie on the show. It's been really awesome.
And thank you. And if I can, we have 5 booths at the New York State
Come
Fair.
on. 5 booths? Do you know what's going to happen? When I go to the fair, I'm going to go to every booth, and I'm going to have them make me like a little paper ring or maybe mark, and then I'll have a spot on each knuckle for each booth, and then I'll like get my picture taken with your cardboard cutout or something. That would be good.
And can I borrow that shovel? Because the monkeys.
Yes. Yeah. We have a wheelbarrow, And we actually have a manure pile you can throw it right in. I hear monkey dung
Perfect.
is good for things. Like throwing at each other. Isn't that what you do with monkey poop? You throw it?
Yes.
All right. Donnie, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
So while our guests and fans here at the farm are enjoying their 2-ounce cups of wine, I'm going to bring Gina Holsopple back up to the stage and give us a little more music. We're going to sing a song that's one of my favorite covers. It's called Black-Eyed Susan, and it's performed by Town Mountain. Black-eyed Susan, the sun shines in her pane. Clouds are moving, never hear her complain. Yeah, black-eyed Susan, waiting on a drop of rain.
Black-eyed Susan, standing straight and tall. The storms are brewing, she ain't worried at all. Yeah, black-eyed Susan, waiting for a drop to fall. Everyone calls her the sunflower, nobody knows her name.
She's a little girl on the side of the road, waiting on a drop of rain. Yeah, black-eyed Susan, waiting on a drop of rain.
Black-eyed Susan, ain't it just a shame
That you're losing all your petals in our vase. In our vase.
Yeah, she got picked and we never even knew her name. Everyone calls her the sunflower, nobody knows her name. She's a little girl on the side of the road, waiting on a drop of rain.
Rain. Yeah, she got picked and we never even knew her name.
So Matthew said specifically when we were planning this that he did not want anybody singing happy birthday to him on the show. So I was like, okay, no big deal. Because, there's the...
I thought maybe, buy you a gift or something. Maybe you wanted an axe.
An axe, yeah.
The chickens.
Check.
So I've been sending Greg messages all day, trying to figure out what we were going to do today at the show. And we found, I believe, the perfect happy birthday song. If you search Elvis Happy Birthday, this is what comes up. Are we
Ready?
We're ready.
Happy birthday, baby. Surely it'll be good. Happy birthday, baby. Surely it'll be good. You can have your cake and eat it too if you promise to be good. Your birthday, you're nobody's fool. So love me tender and baby, don't be cruel. Happy birthday, Papa. Surely it'll be fine.
your birthday. I got something to show. You got me all shook up, and I'm your teddy bear. Happy birthday, baby. Surely we'll be good. You can have your cake and eat it too, if you promise to be good.
Well, now it's your birthday. You're what I'm thinking of. I'll be your hound dog and your huckleberry love. Happy birthday, Papa. Surely it'll be fine. So blow out the candles and let's have a good time.
Thank you.
So that was Gina Holsapple and Gregory Rossblock, who, by the way, Gregory is going to be the host and the MC of our songwriter contest here at the Wooden Apple Farmstead Music and Art Festival. So he'll be here Saturday night, and he'll be introducing and performing during the songwriter contest, which is really exciting. So if you want to show up, which you're thinking, yes, I do, then what you need to do is show up and be here next Saturday, the 5th and 6th. Come, bring a tent, spend the night, hang out. It'll be really cool. We have a lot of sponsors. We're going to have a lot of banners. It's going to be a ton of fun. We're going to have the stage set up on the garage. You got to come check it out. Ladies and gentlemen, what you're about to witness is the most daring, the most death-defying, the most unmistakably coolest thing you've ever seen in your life. But before I jump off of this barn roof into that tiny plastic cup of wine, let me tell you a little bit about the man that brought me here tonight. It was August 27th, 1977. A man by the name of Matthew was walking down the sidewalk. And he had this feeling. He had this feeling like something was going to happen. Something big was going to happen. And he turned off of the sidewalk and walked up the short driveway into his garage. His garage didn't have a door on it, so he just walked through the big archway. And as he walked through the big archway, it almost felt like he was walking into a coliseum, this giant stadium. And he knew his garage wasn't that big, but he could feel it. It was like walking into a coliseum back in Roman times, and like he was a gladiator, and there was thousands of people. And he was getting ready to face a lion or a man with a chain and a big shield wearing a helmet. It was big. And so he walked through his garage, through the Coliseum, up the 4 steps, across the cement platform, and in through his kitchen door. And as he entered, his friend, his roommate, was standing there with this really, really confused look on his face. And he handed Matthew the phone. He said, "You need to call this number," and he handed him a slip of paper. And he walked out of the room. So Matthew took the slip of paper, and he sat down, and he poured himself a cup of tea that he'd made earlier that morning, so it was really cold from sitting out on the counter. But he poured it, and he started to drink as he dialed the phone. And every time he turned that dial, it was like every click of each number going back was this giant cannon blast, and it echoed, and it took forever. And when you're experiencing that, using a rotary dial phone, you don't want to have a number with a lot of 9s in it. And there was a lot of 9s in this phone number. Cannon blast after cannon blast. And he would turn the dial on the red phone, and it would click back. Boom, 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 boom. And when the person on the other end of the line answered the phone, they knew it was him. And he listened for 33 seconds to that voice. And he never said a word. He was really into those cannon blasts as the dial counted down the number before it rang. And so he decided that was his safe space. When he heard this voice pick up the phone, he'd heard that voice only a couple of times before, but he knew it. And he stared at his watch. And every tick of that second hand was like another cannon blast. And he listened for 33 cannon blasts, 33 seconds. He hung up the phone and walked straight back out the kitchen door. Through that Coliseum, which was now empty. There was no longer thousands of people. There were no lions. There were no other gladiators. It was just him. Him. Feeling like he was carrying all of those chains and all of that chain mail and the shields and the spears. And he walked out through that archway of the garage, back out onto the sidewalk, into the light. And for the next 2 days straight, he walked the streets in 33-second intervals. And he tried to figure out how 33 seconds could change a person's life so significantly. He knew that it could, and he knew that it had. And it must have changed other people's lives too. It's not like he was the only person whose life could have changed in 33 seconds. And it's not like he's the only person whose life could have changed by listening to that one voice. And he never talked back. He never said another word. He just listened. And the voice on the other end of the phone knew exactly who was calling, and they knew exactly what they needed to say. He didn't know how any of this came to be. So he walked in 33-second intervals. And every 33 seconds he would stop and he would look. And when every click on the 9 of that rotary dial sounds like a cannon blast and like they're miles apart, you can walk for 33 seconds and stop and notice that the sun has changed its position in the sky. You can notice that shadows lay in a different spot than they did 33 seconds ago. And every car, every dog that barked, every footstep that hit the sidewalk sounded like that low, gravelly voice on the other side of that staticky phone call. And what bothered him the most wasn't what the voice said, or even how the voice said it. But that he couldn't decide whether it was changing his life for the better or for the worse. But he knew without a doubt that it was changed, and he couldn't go back home. He couldn't go back and talk to his roommate. He couldn't go and talk to his family or his friends or his coworkers, because he couldn't explain to them what happened. He knew what that voice had said, and he knew that it had changed his life. And that's all he knew. When he got to the 24-hour mark of his 33-second intervals, his feet hurt. And it was the first time that he'd noticed that he hadn't eaten. Or slept, for that matter. And when you live in Tonkahogan, there's not a lot of places for you to walk. There's not a lot of sidewalk space for you to take up. But there's a lot of grass. And a lot of grass that you can create spaces in, that create trails and little dirt paths, just as wide as your feet. And in 33-second intervals, it only takes a few passes to really wear dry grass at the end of August down to dust. So once he got 24 hours into his pattern, he decided that he didn't need to eat yet. He needed to figure out what was happening. So he just turned around and followed. And he could see every 33-second interval. He could see where he stopped to look and started to walk again. And he got caught up in making sure that he was walking the same exact distance that he did every 33 seconds. So he was stopping at the same exact spot. And every time he stopped and he looked around, and he was standing in the same exact spot, and he could remember everything that he had seen and from the vision that he had seen it in the viewpoint, and it was totally different than he had seen it the last time he stood there. So a couple of times he walked his next 33-second interval, and then he turned around and came back. So 66 seconds later, he was standing in that same spot again, and everything was completely different. And in that moment, he knew that that's how that phone call had changed his life. So when he went home and started telling his roommate about this epiphany that he had had, at the end of this story, his roommate said, "I have no idea what you're talking about." He knew that he had gotten a phone call. He knew that he'd been gone for a very long time. He knew something was happening in 33-second intervals, and he knew that his roommate's life had changed. But he didn't know how. He didn't know what was said on that phone call. And it reminded him of this comic book that he had read just a few years before. And in this comic book, there was this secret agent. And the whole series of comic books, he was on this journey. He was given this mission to find this suitcase. And when he found the suitcase, he could finally learn what was inside. And at the end of the comic book, the main character opens the suitcase, and you turn the page, and a full half page is this one picture with no words. And you're facing the main character as he's looking into the suitcase. So you see the back of the top of the suitcase, and there's this bright green glow coming out of the suitcase, and it's lighting up his face, and everything else around him is black. It's so bright that it just washes everything else out. And you see this half smile, half knowing, half not knowing look on the main character's face. And in the second half of that page, in that big black rectangle, in green words, it said, "The end." And this is what must have happened to Matthew. He must have somehow symbolically opened this suitcase when he was on the phone. Now we fast forward so many years later, and Matthew has told his grandchildren this story. And Matthew's roommate has told all of his grandchildren this story. And Matthew's grandchildren and Matthew's roommate's grandchildren are all together in one room. And they're gathered around Matthew's bed. And in his last words, he asked the oldest grandchild to reach under the bed. And there's a suitcase there. So they open the suitcase. And Matthew smiled. And he died. And there's a tape recorder inside the suitcase. And one tiny finger reached inside and hit the play button. "This is my home. This is my only home. This is the only sacred ground that I have ever known. Should I stray in the dark night alone. Rock me, goddess, in the gentle arms of Eden. Rock me, goddess, in the gentle arms of Eden. Once again, we've survived an episode of On the Porch Radio Hour. And I'm starting another year of my life. This is fantastic. I really can't imagine a better place or a better time to be celebrating my birthday. It's really cool to be part of a radio show and to be called the host and to know that it's my voice that everybody hears the most when they listen to an episode of On the Porch. I like that part. I want to thank everybody for being a part of it. I want to thank everybody that came to be here for my birthday and to listen to Donnie Alecci talk about all of the wine that we now own. It's really awesome. So we'll have wine for the next year or so. That'll be good. But I'm really glad to be here, and I'm really glad that you're here, and I'm glad that my barn is a really cool place where we can have animals and host a radio show and have an incredible music and art festival over Labor Day weekend. That's Saturday, September 5th, and Sunday, September 6th, where we're going to have vendors selling things like snacks and desserts and artwork and all sorts, and jewelry. And there will be, to kick off the whole festival, which, by the way, you can just come and spend the night because we have a huge area for you to set up your tents. We're going to kick off the whole festival with a Frisbee golf tournament because here at Wood and Apple Farmstead, we have our own Frisbee golf course. It may be considered like the equivalent of a miniature golf course for Frisbees, but it's wicked cool. It's better than putt-putt. You don't have to bounce it off of a lighthouse or a monkey clown or anything like that. You just come and you participate and you throw your Frisbee and you have a great time. And then you stay in your tent and you listen to awesome music. We're going to have Gregory Rossblock hosting a singer-songwriter contest. Then the winner of that singer-songwriter contest is going to open the festival on Sunday morning, and we're going to have music all day. At the end of the music, we're going to have an open mic so you can have more music, and then we're going to launch lanterns into the sky to celebrate everything. So come, show up, cook on our grill, sleep in your tent, have a great time. Be part of the radio show. We're going to be doing this every Thursday. We're going to have awesome guests, and we're going to have awesome people listening like you. So thanks for being here. I'm really glad that everybody's here, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And until next time, peace to your journey.
On the Porch is a production of the Wood and Apple Farmstead, with host and writer Matthew Wood. Our musical director is Gina Holsoffel. Our sound technician is Maxwell Wood. Our stage manager is Ray Monet. This week's special guest is Donnie Alecci. Find information about past shows, being on the porch, and much more online at ontheporch.weebly.com.